I still remember the first time I saw the message. It was so simple. So harmless. Or maybe that's just what I told myself. It was a Tuesday morning. Rain tapping softly against the kitchen window. I had just poured my coffee, wrapped in Ryan's old sweatshirt, the one with the fraying sleeves and the scent of laundry in him. My phone buzzed on the counter, and without thinking, I picked it up. Instagram. Message request. From someone named Daniel Kane. I don't usually open those. Most are spam or strangers with odd compliments, people who don't know me, not really. But something about this one. I hesitated. I looked at his profile. Tasteful. A photographer, it said. Artsy, but not pretentious. His photos were of city streets, hands brushing against fabric, strangers laughing. There was something intimate about them, like he saw things other people missed. And then I read the message. Hey, stumbled on your profile through a mutual. I know this is random, but you have this incredible energy in your photos. Just wanted to say hi. Hope that's not weird. I smiled before I could stop myself. It wasn't the message. It wasn't even him. It was the way it made me feel, seen. Not as someone's wife, not as someone folding laundry or paying bills or remembering to buy more oat milk. But just, me. I didn't reply. I wasn't stupid. I knew the line between flattery and danger. And I was married, to a good man. Ryan. Stable, successful, kind. Boring sometimes, yes, but loyal. I had no reason to be unhappy. At least, none that would hold up in court. But lately, something between us had faded. He worked more. Smiled less. When he looked at me, it was like he was staring through me. I missed his hands on my back in the kitchen. I missed him laughing at my stupid jokes. I missed being wanted. I told myself it was just a phase. Everyone drifts. Everyone gets comfortable. Marriage isn't supposed to be electric every day, right? Still. That message sat there. Unanswered. Burning a small hole in the back of my mind. That night, I caught Ryan glancing at me over dinner, eyes narrowed like he was trying to read something between my words. You're quiet, he said. Just tired, I replied. He nodded, but his jaw tightened slightly. He didn't press. He never did anymore. Later, while he showered, I picked up my phone. Opened the message again. His profile. His photos. That first line, you have this incredible energy. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I didn't write much. Just. Hi. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I hit send. And in that moment, I felt something shift. A flicker. Like the first spark in dry grass. I didn't know it yet, not fully, but something had been set in motion. Something I wouldn't be able to take back. It's almost funny now, how quickly it became normal. At first, it was just a reply. A message to be polite. But Daniel wrote back, and he didn't flirt, not exactly. He asked about photography. About the city. About the cafe I'd tagged in one of my stories. That place with the rust-colored walls and the hanging plants. Is the coffee as good as it looks? That was his second message. I laughed. Not because it was clever, but because no one had asked me something that small in so long. Ryan didn't notice the little things anymore. If I wore a new shade of lipstick, if I changed my hair, if I bought a new book, he'd nod and move on. His mind was always on work, the house, the next financial milestone. I'd become background music in our marriage, always there, always expected. Daniel wasn't like that. He noticed. I replied. It's actually terrible coffee. But they have this orange cardamom cake that I dream about. He wrote back almost instantly. Orange and cardamom? That's dangerously specific. I like that. And just like that, We had a thread. Over the next few days, our messages became routine. A secret ritual I kept tucked between laundry and dinner and long stretches of silence in the evenings. Nothing romantic. Not yet. Just easy conversation. But the way he wrote, it made me feel like I mattered. He'd say things like, "You have a sharp way with words. Do you write? You seem like someone who notices textures. What's your favorite season?" No one asks questions like that unless they want to know the answers. And I wanted to be known. One afternoon, as I was sitting on the couch scrolling through his messages, Ryan walked in. I quickly flipped the phone over, screen down. He didn't say anything, but I felt it, that moment of awareness. The weight of his gaze on me. I kept my face blank, casual. I even smiled and asked about his meeting. But my heart was racing. I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. And yet, it felt like I was hiding something. Because maybe I was. Not an affair. Not a lie. But a version of myself I didn't want him to see. The version that still craved something. That felt lonely even while lying beside him. That night in bed, as he scrolled on his laptop beside me, I turned to him. "Do you think we've changed?" I asked quietly. He looked up. "What do you mean?" "Us. Do you think we're different now?" He blinked. Thought for a moment. Then shrugged. "I guess. We've been married 6 years. That's natural." And just like that, he went back to his email. I turned away, staring at the ceiling, biting my lip. He didn't ask why I asked. He didn't ask what I meant. And that, more than anything, told me what I needed to know. The next morning, Daniel sent a voice note. I hesitated before opening it, but curiosity won. His voice was low, warm, with a hint of a rasp. "You've got this calm way of writing, like someone who's always 2 steps ahead of the conversation. That's rare. Makes me want to know what else you're not saying." I sat there, earbuds in, frozen. I replayed the message. Once. Twice. 3 times. He wasn't just being nice anymore. He was inviting me to open a door. And God help me. I was reaching for the handle. It's strange how you can feel like 2 people at once. There was the version of me who still folded Ryan's shirts in neat little piles, who remembered to buy his favorite almond granola, who smiled politely when his colleagues came over for dinner. And then there was the other me, the one who waited for Daniel's messages like they were oxygen. The one who had started wearing mascara on weekdays again. Just in case. I didn't recognize her at first. But she was in the mirror, every morning, brushing her hair slower, tilting her chin a certain way, noticing her own skin in a way she hadn't in years. It wasn't about Daniel. Not entirely. It was about who I became when someone looked at me and actually saw me. One afternoon, I caught myself checking Instagram every 10 minutes, waiting to see if he was online. Ridiculous. Embarrassing. I closed the app, threw my phone in the laundry basket, and went to vacuum the living room like a good, loyal, not at all losing her mind wife. But even while I moved from room to room, dusting and wiping and straightening throw pillows, I was thinking about his voice. His words. "You write like someone who doesn't speak often, but when she does, she doesn't waste a word. Do you ever just vanish for a day, no texts, no calls, just disappear into yourself?" He didn't ask what I do for work. He asked what I dream about when I can't fall asleep. He made me feel like a secret worth knowing. That night, I had a dream. A vivid, disorienting dream. I was standing at the edge of a rooftop, barefoot, the city blinking below. Ryan stood behind me, holding a dinner plate. Daniel was in front of me, but his face was just a blur of light. I wasn't falling, but I wasn't grounded either. I was floating in between. When I woke up, my pillow was damp. I didn't remember crying. Later that week, Daniel asked if I wanted to grab coffee. That was the first real boundary. The line in the sand. And I stared at it. Heart pounding. Thumb hovering. I didn't reply. Not that day. Instead, I spent the afternoon in the bathtub, water slowly cooling around me, trying to remember who I used to be before all of this. Before marriage, before comfort became silence, before I started needing validation from a stranger just to feel like I was still here. I looked down at my hand, the ring still there, still heavy. When Ryan came home, he kissed my forehead and said, "You smell like vanilla." "That soap?" I nodded. He didn't look me in the eyes. He didn't ask why I'd been crying. That night, lying awake in the dark, the phone lit up beside me. "Daniel, I hope I didn't cross a line. I just thought, maybe you needed a place to breathe." My throat tightened. I typed, "I'm married." And a second later, "But thank you for seeing me." He didn't reply. Not right away. But I could feel it. Something had shifted again. And this time, it was deeper. I told myself it wasn't a date. Just coffee. Just curiosity. Just closure. The message had sat in my inbox for 2 days. If you ever need a reason to leave the house and breathe for a bit, there's a little place on 5th and Grove. I'm usually there Thursdays around 3. No pressure. He didn't ask again. Didn't push. And that made it harder to ignore. Thursday came. I cleaned the kitchen twice, paced the hallway, and finally, at 2:40, I grabbed my coat. I told Ryan I was meeting Lana. That wasn't exactly a lie. Lana existed. Somewhere. Just not at that cafe. I got there at 2:57. My heart wouldn't stop racing. He was already sitting outside, sleeves rolled up, camera bag slung across the chair beside him. His smile wasn't cocky or hungry. It was calm. Real. And that made it worse. "Emily?" he asked, standing as I approached. I nodded. "Hi," I said, almost too softly. He ordered me a coffee. Black. No sugar. He remembered from something I'd said in passing. We talked. Nothing dangerous. Not at first. Art. Photography. The way people don't look each other in the eye anymore. The way silence can be more intimate than words. He never brought up my husband. He never asked why I came. But his eyes, they held a quiet question. And mine answered it without speaking. We didn't touch. Not once. But it felt like we had. When I stood to leave, he reached for his camera and held it up. "May I?" I hesitated. Then nodded. He lifted the lens slowly, like he was asking for more than a photo. The shutter clicked once. Just once. "There," he said, lowering it. "Now I'll remember you exactly as you are today." That did something to me. I don't know what. But I felt it in my ribs. On the way home, I deleted our messages. Not because I was done. Because I knew I wasn't. And if Ryan ever saw them, I wouldn't have the courage to explain what they weren't, or what they were becoming. Ryan was in the kitchen when I walked in. "Lana says hi," I said with a smile. He didn't look up. Just nodded, focused on chopping something for dinner. My stomach turned. He had no idea where I'd been. No idea what I'd felt. No idea that something inside me had shifted so far, it might never return to where it began. And I think I hated him a little for not noticing. I didn't go there to sleep with him. At least, that's what I told myself. I went because I missed feeling something. Anything. Because Ryan hadn't looked at me like a woman in months, only as a fixture, a rhythm, a responsibility he remembered between Zoom calls and market reports. Daniel wasn't like that. He didn't just see me. He watched me. And that difference, it did something I can't name. His apartment was warm. Smelled like citrus and clean linen. Music played low, something instrumental, steady, like a heartbeat. I noticed everything, the rough grain of the wooden floor under my heels, the way sunlight framed his shoulders, the way he stood still when I walked in, giving me time to run. But I didn't run. He didn't touch me at first. Not even a brush. He poured tea. Offered me the mug like a peace treaty. "You don't have to stay," he said softly. "I know," I replied. But I didn't move toward the door. I moved toward him. He looked at me for a long moment. Then slowly reached up, not to kiss me, but to slide one finger down the side of my neck. Light. Barely there. It stole my breath. And then he kissed me. Not like a man in a hurry. Not like someone greedy. He kissed me like someone unlocking something fragile. It was slow. Mouths brushing. Breathing. Waiting. His hand slid into my hair, fingertips resting behind my ear like a question. I answered by pressing in closer, no hesitation this time. My fingers found the buttons on his shirt. I wasn't thinking. Only feeling. When his hands moved to my waist, I didn't flinch. When his mouth found the base of my throat, I arched into him like I'd been starving. There was a moment when I could have stopped. When he paused to look at me, his thumb on my cheekbone, his voice barely audible. "Are you sure?" I didn't answer out loud. I just kissed him again, deeper this time. And we both knew. We didn't rush. He undressed me like unwrapping a memory. My blouse sliding down my arms. My breathing unsteady. When his lips moved across my stomach, I trembled, not from nerves, but from recognition. It felt like being remembered. Like being read aloud after years of silence. There were no sharp moans. No cinematic gasps. Just skin. And breath. And hands that didn't ask for permission, because permission had already been whispered in every touch. He moved like he knew how to listen to bodies. Like he wasn't just inside me, but with me. And I forgot who I was. I forgot Ryan. I forgot time. I forgot guilt. All I knew was how alive I felt. How devastatingly wanted. After, we lay in silence. My body draped across his. My hand resting on his chest, feeling his heartbeat, not fast, not slow. Just, steady. I stared at the ceiling, trying to breathe normally again. And then he said it. Almost casually. Almost tender. Like a joke laced in cyanide. "Tell Ryan I said hi." I froze. But he didn't explain. He just turned his head, kissed my shoulder, and closed his eyes, as if he hadn't just pierced something that would never stop bleeding. I should have known something was wrong the moment I stepped back into the house. It was too quiet. Ryan's car was in the driveway. His coat on the hook. But no music, no news channel humming from his office, no gentle clatter of his keyboard. Just silence. Thick and waiting. I called out, "I'm home." Nothing. I walked into the living room, and there he was. Sitting in the armchair. Still. Calm. A glass of bourbon in one hand, his phone in the other. He didn't look at me right away. Just swirled the glass. My heart started pounding. I don't know why. He hadn't said a word. But something about the way he sat, it wasn't Ryan. It was someone I didn't know. "Everything okay?" I asked. He finally looked up. And smiled. It was the coldest smile I'd ever seen on his face. "Hi, Em." I blinked. "What?" He stood. Walked past me toward the kitchen, like he had all the time in the world. "I was just wondering," he said over his shoulder, "how was your afternoon?" My throat tightened. "Fine." "Why?" He opened the fridge. Poured himself water. Calm. Steady. Mechanical. Then he turned, leaned against the counter, and said, Was the tea good? I froze. Every inch of my body went still. Cold. What are you talking about? Ryan tilted his head, that same unsettling smile on his lips. I mean, Daniel makes a pretty good cup, doesn't he? The room spun. My knees almost gave out. He knew. He knew. I stammered. Ryan, Don't, he said quietly. Don't insult both of us. My lips parted. I wanted to say it was a mistake. That it didn't mean anything. But all I could see was the expression on his face, not rage, not heartbreak. Control. He'd already processed everything. He wasn't reacting. He was delivering. How long? I whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he took out his phone, opened Instagram, and tossed it to me. The screen was already on a message thread. His burner account. Daniel Kane. The photos. The voice notes. All there. You wanted to be seen, he said quietly. So I watched. I felt sick. I never meant to. But you did, he snapped, finally showing a flicker of the man I used to know. You kissed him. You let him undress you. You moaned for him, didn't you? I started shaking. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, he said. I gave you a test. And you failed so quickly, it didn't even sting. You weren't seduced, Em. You volunteered. I pressed my hand to my mouth. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I didn't dare cry. You catfished me, I whispered. He laughed. A humorless sound. No. I exposed you. And then, he said the thing that will echo in me until the day I die. You cheated on me with me, Emily. And you didn't even notice the difference. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while Ryan showered in the guest bathroom. The water ran forever, not because he needed it, but because he didn't want to hear my voice. He hadn't touched me since the reveal. Hadn't yelled. Hadn't called me names. He just stepped back. And that was worse than rage. Because rage is still a connection. This was a sentence. I wanted him to scream. I wanted him to say something I could fight against. But silence gives you nothing to push off from. You just fall. In the morning, he was already dressed when I came down. His suit crisp. His tie perfect. He looked like someone going to close a deal, not end a marriage. He didn't look at me when he spoke. You'll be served by Friday. The blood drained from my face. Ryan, please. Save it, he said. He placed a folder on the table. Legal. Cold. Organized. I've already moved funds. Cancelled the joint cards. Changed the passwords. This house is in my name, so you'll be out by the end of the month. I opened my mouth. No, he finally looked at me. You don't get to speak now. You had your voice. You used it to lie. I followed him to the door, panic rising. Wait, please, Ryan. He turned. Calm. Almost pitying. I know what you're about to do, Em. The tears. The regret. The excuses. I've written the script in my head. I've read this story cover to cover. I was shaking. I made a mistake. No, he leaned in. His voice dropped. You made a choice. Don't confuse the two just because you regret the outcome. My knees buckled slightly. Was I perfect? No, he continued. But I was loyal. I was building a life with you. You were auditioning for an escape. Tears finally came. I didn't mean to. He cut me off with a bitter laugh. You meant every step of it, Emily. The dress you picked for coffee. The way you looked at your phone when you thought I wasn't watching. The way you melted for someone who told you what you wanted to hear. He stepped past me. Hand on the door. I didn't lose you to another man, he said quietly. I lost you to yourself. And then, almost as an afterthought, he added. Oh. And just so you know. He looked back, dead in the eyes. The camera Daniel used? That was mine. I stopped breathing. I have it all. The messages. The hotel footage. The voice notes. My voice cracked. You wouldn't use it? He smiled, and it made my stomach twist. You broke the rules. You don't get to beg for privacy now. He opened the door. Paused. Looked back one last time. Say hi to Daniel for me. And then he was gone. I stood in the hallway. Silent. Alone. Not crying anymore. Just empty. I had wanted to feel something. To be seen. To be touched. I got what I wanted. And I lost everything I didn't realize I still had.